How well do you remember the 80s? I have 100 questions every 80s kid should know. There are no multiple choice options. You'll have to rely on your memory. If you're ready, let's get started. Which television sitcom made the catchphrase, "What you talking about, Willis?" famous? The answer is Diff'rent Strokes. Which fast food restaurant became famous for their advertising slogan, "Where's the beef?" That was Wendy's. Which animated TV series ended its episodes with the phrase, "Knowing is half the battle"? The correct answer is G.I. Joe. What was another common name for a portable cassette stereo, often called a ghetto blaster? The answer I am looking for is boombox. Which boxing promoter was sued by Mike Tyson in the late 1980s over alleged financial misconduct? That was Don King. Which strawberry-scented doll line became extremely popular with kids during the 1980s? It was Strawberry Shortcake. Why did kids sit by the radio with a blank cassette tape ready to go? It was to record their favorite song when it came on. Name any two of the four main characters from the TV series The Golden Girls. Their names were Dorothy, Rose, Blanche, and Sophia. Which filmmaker directed several iconic 1980s teen movies, including 16 Candles and Pretty in Pink? It was John Hughes. What hairstyle is famously described as business in the front, party in the back? The answer is the mullet. Which pop duo had their Grammy Award revoked after it was revealed they did not sing on their recordings? It was Milli Vanilli. Why did many kids wake up early on Saturday mornings in the 1980s and 1990s? It was to watch Saturday morning cartoons. Who hosted the television series Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? The answer is Robin Leach. Michael Jackson was seriously injured while filming a television commercial for which brand? It was for Pepsi. Which famous 1980s rock band featured a drummer who lost an arm and continued performing? The answer is Def Leppard. Which video game was included with the original Nintendo Game Boy when it launched? The answer is Tetris. Why did people rewind VHS tapes before returning them to a video rental store? That was to avoid paying a rewind fee charged by the store. Which NASA space shuttle broke apart shortly after launch in 1986? It was the Space Shuttle Challenger. Which Bon Jovi song opens with the lyric, "Tommy used to work on the docks"? The answer is "Livin' on a Prayer." When street lights came on in the evening, what did that usually mean for kids? That meant that it was time to go home. Which 1980s television series featured a crime-fighting car that could talk? The answer is Knight Rider. Which disease became widely known during the 1980s after rapidly spreading worldwide? It was HIV/AIDS. Which sitcom starred Larry and Balky, known for the phrases "watch and learn" and "don't be ridiculous"? The answer is Perfect Strangers. Which hip-hop group released the song featuring the lyric, "You gotta fight for your right to party"? The correct answer is the Beastie Boys. Who starred as the main character in the TV series Doogie Howser, MD? That was a young Neil Patrick Harris. Which Caribbean country famously competed in bobsledding at the 1988 Winter Olympics? The correct answer is Jamaica. What slang term was used in the 1980s for a young urban professional? The answer is yuppie. Which athlete starred in the popular Bo Knows advertising campaign? That was Bo Jackson. What major nuclear disaster occurred in 1986 in the Soviet Union? That was the Chernobyl disaster. Which classic alien shooting arcade game was released for the Atari 2600 in 1980? That would be Space Invaders. Which TV series starred a young Fred Savage and followed him growing up in the 1960s? It was The Wonder Years. Why did kids often sit right in front of the TV while playing video games? Mostly it was because the controller cord was too short. Who was the first computer-generated character to host a television show? The answer is Max Headroom. Why did kids blow into video game cartridges even though it did not actually fix anything? Because everyone still believed it worked. What item does John Candy sell in the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? He sold shower curtain rings. Why did people flip cassette tapes over halfway through? That was so they could listen to side B. When a television screen went to static, what did that usually mean? That meant the channel was off the air. What common household item did kids use to rewind cassette tapes without using batteries? They would use a pencil. Which rock band released their debut album, Appetite for Destruction, in 1987? That was Guns N' Roses. Which hip-hop group did Aerosmith collaborate with on the song Walk This Way? The answer is Run DMC. When a VCR was flashing 12, what had usually happened? That normally meant the power went out. What is Indiana Jones's first name? His name is Henry. Who played Mike Seaver on the TV series Growing Pains? The answer is Kirk Cameron. What album and film shared the same title when released by Prince in 1984? The correct answer is Purple Rain. Who became the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history in 1986 at age 20? That was Mike Tyson. Who sang the hit song Material Girl, famously describing herself as living in a material world? The answer is Madonna. On Knight Rider, what did the acronym KIT stand for? It stood for Knight Industries 2000. What version of Coke was introduced by Coca-Cola in 1982? The answer is Diet Coke. Which hit song opens with the line, "Just a small town girl, living in a lonely world"? It's from Don't Stop Believin'. In the movie Die Hard, what clothing item is Bruce Willis's character missing for most of the film? That's right, his shoes. Which breakfast cereal was advertised with the slogan, "They're great"? The answer is Frosted Flakes. Which TV alien from the planet Melmac was known for joking about eating cats? That was Alf. Who was the original lead singer of the rock band Van Halen? The answer is David Lee Roth. On the TV series Alf, what did the name Alf stand for? It stood for Alien Life Form. Who did John Ritter portray on the sitcom Three's Company? He played Jack Tripper. Which professional wrestler was famously over 7 feet tall and weighed more than 350 pounds? It was Andre the Giant. Who was killed by Mark David Chapman in New York City on December 8, 1980? The answer is John Lennon. What did kids place over the holes on cassette tapes so they could record over them? They would normally use a piece of Scotch tape. Name any 3 of the 5 Huxtable children from The Cosby Show. Sandra, Denise, Theo, Vanessa, and Rudy. Who wrote and recorded the hit song Summer of '69, released in 1984? The correct answer is Bryan Adams. What puzzle toy cube became a worldwide craze during the 1980s? You got it, the Rubik's Cube. In the movie Stand By Me, what are the boys searching for during their journey? They were looking for a dead body. Who played the Crown Prince of Zamunda in the comedy Coming to America? That was Eddie Murphy. Who released the hit song 1999 in 1982? It was Prince. The Just Say No campaign was aimed at preventing what? It was to help prevent people doing drugs. Complete the lyric. Sweet dreams are made of this. Who am I? That's right, to disagree. Which comedy film series featured the Griswold family? It's the National Lampoon's Vacation. Which NBA team entered the league in 1989 at the same time as the Orlando Magic? The answer is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Which 1987 film made the phrase, "Greed is good," famous? That came from the movie Wall Street. In which U.S. city was Jerry Springer elected mayor? Jerry was the mayor of Cincinnati. Which comic strip character is famously obsessed with lasagna? The correct answer is Garfield. The quote, "Nobody puts baby in the corner," comes from which movie? It's from Dirty Dancing. Which pop star became known for wearing a single white glove during performances? That was Michael Jackson. Which boxing legend retired from professional boxing in 1981 after a career spanning 2 decades? It was Muhammad Ali. Which pop star popularized lace fingerless gloves during the 1980s? Correct answer is Madonna. In the movie Gremlins, what 3 rules must be followed when caring for a mogwai? avoid bright light, keep it away from water, and never feed it after midnight. Who directed the science fiction film The Terminator? It was James Cameron. Which pop duo sang the lyric, "Wake me up before you go-go"? The answer is Wham! Which band released the hit song She Drives Me Crazy in 1988? It's from Fine Young Cannibals. What type of printer was commonly used with home computers during the 1980s? It was the dot matrix. Which U.S. volcano famously erupted in May of 1980? That was Mount St. Helens. What doll line became a massive must-have toy for kids in the early 1980s? The answer I'm looking for is Cabbage Patch Kids. What was the name of Inspector Gadget's loyal dog? His name was Brian. Which major hurricane struck Florida in 1985, causing widespread damage along the Gulf Coast? The answer is Hurricane Elena. Which Rick Astley song from the 1980s made a viral internet comeback in 2007? It's Never Gonna Give You Up. Who is widely known as the godfather of shock rock? The answer is Alice Cooper. What was Pete Mitchell's call sign in the movie Top Gun? It was Maverick. Who represented Great Britain in ski jumping at the 1988 Winter Olympics? It was Eddie the Eagle. In the movie The Goonies, which pirate are the kids searching for? They were looking for One-Eyed Willie's treasure. What make and model of car was famously driven in the TV series The Dukes of Hazzard? It was a Dodge Charger. What did the computer term DOS stand for? It stood for Disk Operating System. What was the first film called that was released in the Rambo series? It was called First Blood. Who played David Hogan on the TV series The Hogan Family? The answer is Jason Bateman. Which professional wrestler was famous for wearing face paint and tying colorful ribbons around his arms? That was the Ultimate Warrior. What was the name of the mailman character on the TV sitcom Cheers? His name was Cliff Clavin. Who knocked out Michael Spinks in just 91 seconds to win the heavyweight boxing championship? That's right, that was Mike Tyson. Which Billy Idol song opens with the lyric, "Hey little sister, what have you done?" That's from his song White Wedding. In which movie does Al Pacino say the line, "Say hello to my little friend"? That came from the movie Scarface. Which band released the hit song Another One Bites the Dust in 1980? You got it, it was Queen. What was the name of Michael Jackson's pet chimpanzee? The chimpanzee's name was Bubbles. So how many questions were you able to answer correctly? Share your score in the comments below and click the thumbs up if you missed growing up in the 80s. Thanks for playing.